Hello, it's good to be with you again. I want to just share with you some reflections in that we are called to share our blessings. But first of all, we have to be patient enough and obedient enough to God to receive blessings. And that's what I want to share with you in the text today. The text one is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 30 through 37, and it is a story about the Good Samaritan. And the other one is from Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 9 through 14. And it speaks about God restoring the blessings. And in God restoring blessings to us, He calls for us to therefore be obedient to the way in which God has instructed us to walk, to talk, to act, and to be. And He also says that it's not so hard that you got to go somewhere and get that blessing. You got to go somewhere and get that understanding. He says that it's right here in our midst. And when I think about that blessing being right here in our midst, I understand that we are blessed by blessing others. We are blessed when we approach the world with a faithfulness and a sense of responsibility and a sense of care. We help to restore the world and restore the human community to a place of hope and to a place of respect. Now, the other one comes to us from Luke, like I said, and it's the story of the Good Samaritan. And I like that story. It's a very famous story. For Jesus tells this parable about someone who was beaten and robbed and laid down by the side of the road and basically beaten half to death. And down the road, of course, comes a holy man, a priest, on his way, one would presume, to worship. And he sees the man beaten on the side of the road, and he crosses over on the other side because he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want to dirty himself with blood. He doesn't want to have the responsibility of having to follow through and care for this man. So he keeps on walking. The other person that comes down the road is a Levite from a holy family, from a holy clan. And he sees the man lying by the side of the road, and he also crosses over to the other side and keeps on going. He doesn't want to get involved. And the third that comes down the road is a Samaritan. Now you got to remember that Samaritans were those who were hated in that culture in which Jesus was speaking, because they were not considered pure, they were not considered faithful, they were considered to be an aberration to Judaism, and they were considered less than less. In fact, if someone even accepted a glass of water from a Samaritan, they would be rendered unclean. But Jesus raises up this idea of the Samaritan, the one who is hated, and says that this one stops, bandages this man up, puts him on his horse, takes him to an inn, knowing he has to go somewhere, asks that the innkeeper take care of him and nurse his wounds, and that he will come back and he will pay whatever is owed. And Jesus asks, therefore, who is the good neighbor? Well, obviously the answer is the good neighbor in this case is not the priest. The good neighbor in this case is not the Levite, but the good neighbor is the Samaritan, the one that everyone hates, the Samaritan. Everyone hates. There are contradictions, you see, in this message. The hated was a helper and a good neighbor. The holy people were without concern and they were aloof. They were not good neighbors, though they considered themselves holy and faithful and religious folk. Now, one of the things is that you realize in this, as Martin King once said, that some people are so heaven-bound they're of no earthly good to anyone, let alone God. And then there are some people who are rooted in the value of neighborhood and community, and they seek to serve others. And these folks, they may not be rich, they might not ever get rich, but one thing that we see is that they are blessed. They are blessed by the community that surrounds them and cares for them because they have been in the midst of the community and cared for the community. You see, what I'm trying to get at here, sisters and brothers, is that we are called to embrace our blessings in life by sharing our blessings in life. You see, God doesn't give to you blessings so that you keep it selfishly to yourself and for yourself. But we are all called to be stewards. And as I always say in church, a steward is not someone that owns anything. A steward recognizes that they don't own a thing, that just simply goods and resources pass through them to be redistributed and to be used for the glory of God, for the edification of the kingdom of God, and for the blessing of others. We're called to do that. We're called to be responsible to our blessings and in a sense to use our blessings to bless others. So that's my challenge to us today, is to use your blessing to bless someone else. You may not have a lot of money, but there's something else you have. You may not have a lot of material goods, but there's something else that you have. You might have a laughter in your voice. You might be able to encourage someone. You might be able to share some advice. You might be able to mentor a child. You might be able to be a parent to a child that doesn't have a parent. We can do that. We can share our blessing with someone else. And that's my call and my urge to us today, is to walk through life the next few days and look around us and see where we can be a blessing and who we can give a blessing to. God bless you, and we will see each other again. Take care.